In the garment center, it was 200,000 people working in the 60s, and then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak, and it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center.
8%. 8% is left. It's an industry possibly that's on the brink of collapse.
In the garment center, there was 200,000 people working in the 60s, and then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak, and it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center. Right, 8%. 8% is left. It's an industry possibly that's on the brink of collapse. All right. Why is that yellow? Stop being yellow. Good, good. Is left, has left. Ooh, yeah. Is. We'll talk about the pronunciation there. Bump. Let's go back here.
In the garment center.
Yeah, so this was killing everybody. A lot of you, yeah, in the garment center. It's listen.
In the garment center. In the garment center. In the garment center.
Yeah, see, if I give you the answer, we can hear it, right? In the garment center, in the garment center, in the garment center, in the garment center.
In the garment center. In the garment center.
And don't worry, I'll explain garment center tomorrow.
In the garment center, it was 200,000. It was 200,000. It was 200. It was 200. It was 200. It was 200,000.
Now, a lot of you wrote it. It's there. There was. It is possible. It was 200,000 people. It is kind of possible, but absolutely there. There was 200,000 people working.
It was 200. It was 200. It was 200.
There was 200.
It was 200,000. It was 200,000 people working in the 60s. People working in the 60s, and then it's 400,000 in the late. And then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its. And then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak.
In the late 70s at its peak. In the late 70s at its peak. In the late 70s at its peak.
And then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak, and it's currently 22,000 people.
And it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center.
And it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center.
8%.
Working in the garment center.
8%.
Working in the garment center.
8%.
And you can hear his sister working in the garment center. Right. 8%, the sister says.
Working in the garment center.
8%. 8% is left. 8% is left.
8% is left. So, percent, the N kills the T. Percent, the N kills the T. Percent is left. 8% is left. 8% is left. Now, could we say has? 8% has left? Well, we would say 8% have left grammatically, right? 8% have left. But yeah, I mean, 8% has left. It's possible. Is the pronunciation different? Not too much. 8% is left. 8% is left. No, that would actually, the pronunciation would really pretty much be about the same. That would be tough. But the meaning is completely different, right? 8% is left means 92% left. 8% has left means 92% remain. Okay, so the meaning is very different. So be careful there. And yes, the math is not that good, right? That'd be 32,000. Whatever. Maybe the numbers are fudged. But anyway, 8% is left is what she said. A lot of you guys talking about the math.
8%.
You just didn't like her, right?
8% is left. It's an industry possibly that. It's an industry.
So it sounds like it's an industry. Yeah, and grammatically that makes sense because I hear something. But again, in the video, hold up. Let me watch the video. Yeah, of course, they don't show her face when she says it. But I hear that S sound in there. I don't know if it's necessarily part of this, but it could be.
It's an industry possible.
Okay, so yeah. If you wrote it's, I'll accept that. And that makes total sense. Grammatically, it makes sense. We don't necessarily need it, but we can just say an industry possibly that's on the brink of collapse. It's an industry possibly perfect grammar that is on the brink of collapse. Okay, so let's get in industry.
It's an industry possibly that. It's an industry possibly. industry, industry, industry.
So we were talking about this in PIRF the other day. The word "an," okay, is a short A. But typically we pronounce it with a short E. Okay, and I like to tell students when you have an engine, okay, it's going to be an engine, an engine, an engine, okay? But it can sound like an I too, okay? Short I. So and a good example would be, yeah, an invitation, an invitation, an invitation, an invitation. Whoops, I can't spell the word invitation, can I? So here, and what happens is sometimes this vowel will color, will affect, will influence how this is going to be pronounced, okay? What's actually happening is this is a schwa pronunciation. And the schwa is supposed to be but the schwa can sometimes be more of an an and an too. It can have different colors, different flavors, if you will. So yeah, be aware of that. So that's why when she says an industry, it's actually an industry. An industry. Let's listen.
An industry, an industry, an industry.
An industry, an industry.
An industry, an industry, an industry, possibly that's on the brink of collapse.
Collapse. There you go. 2 times. In the garment center, there was 200,000 people working in the 1960s. And then it is, he says, but anyway, it was 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak. Wow. And it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center. So this number, I believe, is probably accurate. This number, probably not so accurate. Anyway, I believe her number is accurate. I believe her, actually. Right, she says 8%. 8% is left. So whatever the peak was, obviously 8% of 400,000 is 32,000. So it must have been, like 380,000 or 350,000, something like that. Anyway, I believe her number, 8% is left. 8% of the peak number, which was around 400,000. 8% is left. It's an industry, the apparel industry in New York City, the garment district, possibly that's on the brink of collapse. And there's a question. What would be a total collapse annihilation situation? How much do you have to lose? They lost 92%. Isn't that collapse? Yeah. Well, it's not complete collapse. There's still 8% there, but yeah, it's a good point. It's pretty much dead. They lost, only 8% is left. They lost 92%. If my business lost 92% of our customers, it wouldn't be a business anymore. It'd be done. We'd be over. Okay? Maybe I would do 1 lesson a week. So not completely over. But we wouldn't have the coaches. We wouldn't have everything. I couldn't afford, I don't know what I would do. I mean, all the software is expensive. Every month I pay money. So yeah, there has to be a good income. Yeah, 92% is a huge loss. But they're still there. They're still hanging on. So they haven't completely collapsed.
In the garment center, it was 200,000 people working in the 60s, and then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak, and it's currently 22,000 people working in the garment center.
8%. 8% is left. It's an industry possibly that's on the brink of collapse.
In the garment center, it was 200,000 people working in the 60s, and then it's 400,000 in the late 70s at its peak, And there's currently 22,000 people working
Right.
in the government sector.
8%. 8% is left. It's an industry possibly that's on the brink of collapse.